Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of our sports card tracker program. In today's episode, we will be looking at creating tables programmatically. So let's get started. First things first, some housekeeping. In the switch to main program, we brought in the username and the user password, but we didn't do anything with it. So we'll take care of that now. So username is going to equal the new username. User password is going to equal our new password. This will allow us to use the username and password throughout the program. Next, we have some changes to our My Collections menu. We are going to separate our restored database and backup database from the main menu into a submenu. So I'm going to remove these from that section, and I'm going to make a new section, and we're going to call it Maintenance Submenu. Now we're going to make a new menu, and we're going to call it Maintenance Menu equals new menu, and we're going to give it the title of maintenance. So we're going to have in it our backup and restore, and we're going to add a few other menus. First one is going to be menu item, ports, table, item equals new menu item, ports, table. Then we're going to have menu item, brand, table, item equals new menu item, brand, table. Our next one is going to be menu item, variation table item equals new menu item, and we're giving this the title of variation table. Correct our spelling. And then the next one's going to be menu item, condition table item equals new menu item, condition table. And our last menu item, menu delete table item equals new menu item, and we're giving it the title of delete all tables. Now we're going to remove our backup database and restore database from our My Collections menu, and we're going to add to it maintenance menu. Now above our My Collections menu, we're going to have maintenance menu dot get dot all, and we're going to list here our submenus. So the first one, backup database restore database, then ports table item, and table variation table item, condition table item, and lastly delete table formatting in here. So that's it for the housekeeping. Now let's get on to creating our tables. We're going to create a new class. So under our project, we want new Java class. And we're going to name this SCT for Sports Card Tracker Database. And we'll create a new class. Now I'm going to add our SQL imports. So let's import java.sql.connection, import java.sql.driver-manager, import java.sql.sql-exception, and import java.sql.state. Now there's three things that we are going to get from calls from other classes. So our first one is going to be our username. So it's private static string username. And that's we're going to get our password. So it's private static string password. And the last is a statement. So private static string statement. Now we're going to create our constructor. So public SCT underscore database. And for this constructor, user will pass it a username and password. And this is going to be our default constructor. We're going to take that username and we're going to assign it the past user variable. And for the password, we're going to pass it provided password. So we're going to create another constructor, and it'll be called SCT underscore database. And we're going to pass it username, password, and a query. With this one here, we're going to assign username equals the user, password is equal to the PWD, and finally, statement is equal to the query. Now, because this program will have multiple calls to the database, we want to have a generic connection to the database. so we can reuse it over and over. So it's public void connect to database, and we're going to pass it a string. We're going to call it activity case. Now this can throw an exception, so we want to say throws exception. Now in here, we want to start our connection. So connection on equals null. That declares our connection that we can use through this method. Now connecting to the database can cause an exception. We want to throw in a try catch here. So we're going to use con equals driver manager get connection, and we want to pass it our constant main dot rl, and we want to pass it our username and our password. Now because an error could happen, we want to set our auto commit to false. So on set commit, we're going to say it's false. Now we're passing our method a activity case. Depending on the activity, we want different things to happen. We're going to create a switch to handle all of the different activity cases that can be passed. So it's switch, and we pass it our activity case. Right now we only have one case. We're going to call it create tables. Now in our create tables, we're going to call a method called create tables, and we're going to pass it our con. And then we break because we don't want any more actions to happen. And with every switch case, we need to have a default. And in this case here, if it's not something we specifically set up, we want nothing to happen. So if our create tables method was successful, we're going to put in here if successful, we want to commit now. We need to catch any errors. So we're going to throw in our SQL exception here. And in here, we're going to put in a message. SQL exception dot and while our exception EX not equals null, it means if there's more exceptions, we want to continue running this loop, and we're going to print out a message we want to print out is ex.get message. Then we want to get our SQL state, and ex.get SQL state. Then we want to print out our error code. Error code. ex dot get error code. And if there is more, ex equals ex dot get next exception. And then we want to put a break between the two error codes. Put a line there. After it's done, we're going to roll back any changes to the database. And after our catch, we want to finally if the connection isn't canceled, if con not equals null, we're going to close our con. Then we're going to declare on null. Up here we called the method create tables. Now we have to create the method. It's private void create tables. Connection on. So this could throw an exception, so we have to declare that it throws an exception. I'm going to throw a comment in here. This method will create the default tables for the sports card tracker database. The tables database. The tables initialized here are as follows. So we're going to have our card details table, card image table, for sport table, trend table, variation table, condition table, and card price table. Now we're going to declare string variables to create the tables. So our first one is going to be string card details, card detail table equals create table if not exists card detail table and it's going to have the column card ID going to be an int. We want it to auto increment and it's going to be a primary key. Our next column is going to be brand name and it's going to be a varchar with 32 characters. Oh, got to put a comma after that. Our next one is going to be card year, and it's going to be a varchar 8. And we're going to have our set name. It's going to be a varchar 64. And we're going to have a card number, and it's going to be an int. Then we're going to have player name, and it's going to be a varchar 64. And we're going to have variation name, and it's going to be varchar 32. Then we're going to have condition name. It's going to be a varchar 32. And we're going to have collection name. And it's going to be a varchar 32. And then we're going to store our location. So we need card row var 32. And then we need a card bin varchar 32. And finally, we need a card self varchar 32. Our next table is going to be our card image table. String card image table. Create table if not exists card image table. And in here, we're going to have an image ID. It's going to be int. We want it to auto increment. And this is going to be our primary key. Our card ID. An int. And we need our front image. And we're going to call it a medium blob. And we need our back image. We're going to call that a medium blob as well. Next is our sports table. String sports table equals create table if not sports table. So we're going to have sports ID int, we're going to auto increment, and it's going to be our primary key. Then we're going to have our ports name, and it's going to be a var char 2. Next, we're going to have our brand table, string brand table equals create table if not exists, brand table, and in our brand table we're going to have our brand ID, going to be an int, and it's going to auto increment, going to be our primary key. Then we're going to have our brand name. It's going to be a var char 32. Our next table, string, and we're going to call it variation table equals create table if not exists, and variation table and we're going to have a variation ID, going to be an int. We want it to increment. It is going to be our primary key. And we're going to have a variation name, variation, and it's a varchar 32. Then we're going to have a description of that variation. So it's variation description, and we're going to give it a varchar of 4. Then we're going to have string condition table equals create table if exists, condition table. We're going to have a condition ID. Going to be an int, and auto increment, and it's going to be a primary key. Then we're going to have a condition name, and that's going to be a varchar 32, and condition description, that's going to be a varchar 64. And our final table, string card price table equals create table if not exists, card price table card price ID be an int, auto increment going to be a primary key. And we want card ID. It's going to be an int. And we're going to want a card price. And this one we want it to be a decimal. And we're going to give it a 13 with a decimal of 4 for precision. And finally, we want our price date. And we just want the date. Going to quickly check, make sure we didn't make any spelling mistakes. Create table, we'll get rid of that extra A, if not exists. Card details table. Everything. Okay, create table if not exists. Table if not exists. Table if not exists. Everything looks okay. So now we're going to send our statements to our database. To do this, we need to declare a statement. Statement equals on.create statement. And our first statement is going to be statement .execute update. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 statements that we're going to run. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our first statement is going to be card detail table. And our next one is going to be card image table. And our next one is going to be sport table. Then we're going to have a brand table. And then we're going to have our variation table. And then we're going to have condition table. And finally, card price table. Sports table. Now, once our statements are processed, we want to close our statement. So we missed a column in our card details, and I want to add it after the set name but before the card number. And the column that we missed is our sports name. So we're going to add sports name, and our sports name is a varchar 32. So we're going to add varchar 32. So before we run our program, we can come into our database, go into our sports card tracker, and look at our tables, and we can see that our tables are blank. Now when we compile and run, we log into our database, then we go File, New. It will have created the tables. We go into our services, we connect to our database, and we look at our sports card tracker. When we go into our tables, we can see the list of tables here. And you can look at the schema of the tables. And you can see in the card details, we have our sports name. So if you look under our My Collection, you'll see our submenu. And here's all of our items beneath the submenu. So tune in next time where we'll look at adding a card.